Searching for survivors. A boat filled with scuba diving enthusiasts catches fire and sinks, and now 34 people are feared dead. Back here at home, a seaplane crashes into the front yard of an Independence Township home. Are investigators any closer to learning what caused the crash? Plus, slow-moving Dorian batters the Bahamas and crawls toward the U.S. You're looking at a Local 4 satellite tracking the hurricane and some brand new video of the storm from space. Here's Ben.
That storm leaving the Bahamas as slow as possible, making everyone on the East Coast nervous. But we've got our own severe threat tomorrow, and it's one of the highest that we have seen all season. Right now, first at 4.
Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
All right, and topping our news first at 4, we continue to receive new information on a tragedy at sea just off the coast of Southern California. That's where a boat filled with scuba diving enthusiasts caught fire and sank early today. More than 30 people were reported missing. Steve Garagiola is in the newsroom with a look at the search for the missing in Ventura County. Steve.
Kimberly, right now there is no good news in this story. The Coast Guard has recovered 4 bodies. There are fears there may be many more. It was the final day of a 3-day excursion for this dive boat. It's called Conception. It was just 20 yards off the shoreline of Santa Cruz Island when tragedy struck. At 3:15 a.m., the Coast Guard heard a mayday call. When crews arrived, the boat was fully in flames. The 75-foot scuba diving boat was taking divers for what promised to be opportunities to see colorful coral and marine life. The boat was outfitted with dozens of small berths for sleeping overnight. As firefighters battled the flames, that boat sank in 60 feet of water. 34 people reported missing, and now bodies are being recovered. The boat's crew, however, managed to escape.
The crew was actually already awake and on the bridge, and they jumped off.
2 of those crew members had minor injuries. They were picked up by a Good Samaritan boat in that area. The Coast Guard, police, and the fire departments continue to search the water all along the shoreline. We are awaiting their next update on that effort. Kimberly?
Yes, indeed. Okay, Steve, we appreciate it. And we're following breaking news closer to home, too, in Independence Township. That's where a seaplane has crashed into the front yard of a home. Take a look here. This is at Greenview Drive and Clarkston Road. The plane did not hit any homes, just the ground. No injuries were reported on the ground. The pilot and a passenger are okay, but were taken to the hospital to be checked out. And, of course, the FAA is investigating. All right, Hurricane Dorian is breaking records as it moves across Grand Bahama, switching between Category 4 and Category 5 hurricane status. It's the strongest storm to ever hit the Bahamas. And as it heads up toward the U.S., millions of Americans are under mandatory evacuation orders. Take a look here. These are live pictures from the East Coast where folks continue to prepare. Emily Schmidt has a look at what could be next.
Dorian showed up strong in the Bahamas with 2 menacing measures of speed. The first speed, fast. 155-mile-an-hour winds late Monday morning caused what the country's prime minister called unprecedented devastation. The second hurricane speed is slow. The storm itself moving at only about 1 mile per hour, meaning water and wind keep pummeling homes.
That height has to be about 20 to 25 feet above sea level.
At this point, hurricane models aren't certain if Dorian will make landfall in the U.S. Tuesday or stay offshore. That uncertainty means 3 states, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, have counties under mandatory evacuation orders.
Get out now while you have time, while there's fuel available, and you'll be safe on the roads.
I would not take any chances with this one.
Some people say they are going against that advice.
We've decided to stay, just hunker down, so we got a lot of the provisions last week when we thought it was going to be here yesterday.
Meanwhile, storm shelters are open. Ports and airports are closing.
Hopefully on one of the last flights out of here.
Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport shut down at noon Monday, getting ahead of a storm, which is on its own schedule for arrival. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
And it's got a lot of people antsy. My family down in South Carolina, they're a little bit nervous too, and rightfully so.
They should be. I mean, this is a powerful storm, and we're playing on the razor's edge as far as one little wobble left or right and could change the forecast entirely. But the track has been relatively consistent in the last day's forecast. We've been expecting this turn So hopefully that's what happens and it stays far enough off of the Florida coast to keep damage to an absolute minimum. But this is a Category 4 storm with 145-mile-per-hour winds. So as this storm weakens, it's going to continue to get bigger. Notice that it does take a little bit more of a jog towards Florida. Tuesday at 8 o'clock, still a Cat 4, and then it weakens as it gets into some cooler water and some stronger winds, which will start eating away at that storm. This is 8 a.m. on Thursday. That's hopefully as close as it's going to be to Charleston. But again, this is very close. Category 2 storm. And if it stays in the middle of the forecast track, it could make a landfall here in the Carolinas, reaching up towards the Outer Banks as we get into late parts of Thursday and early Friday. Of course, the storm is going to be accelerating at that point, but still a Category 2 hurricane even after potentially interacting with the land there in North Carolina. Now back home, and a significant severe weather threat for us. We're in the second Category 2 here, slight. That's probably going to get upgraded tomorrow as we look at a pretty significant threat. It's mainly going to be in the evening tomorrow, and all of the threats are on the table, from hail to wind to a possible tornado. We'll look at all of that coming up in just a few minutes, Kim.
And thank you. And as Dorian inches toward the U.S., a local disaster relief group is making preparations to send a second shipment of supplies for those who will be impacted. Disaster Relief at Work out of Waterford sends cleaning supplies and crews to help those who need it. But as Nick Monticelli shows us, the group is running out of supplies.
Good evening. About 200 of these have already made their way down to Jacksonville, stationed there so people can get to them as fast as they can. But that's only a small percentage of what DRAW is prepared to do. They know the need's going to be great, so they're asking for your help today.
Dish soap we're low on, laundry detergent, looks like we get about 7 or 8, so definitely low on that.
As the director of disaster relief at work, it's Greg Martin's job to make sure everything is ready when a disaster like Hurricane Dorian is approaching. This team provides DRAW buckets filled with cleaning supplies.
The bucket is comprehensive. And so someone might have half the stuff, but they may not have, I don't have laundry detergent, or if I don't have electricity, I need to dry my stuff out. Oh, if this is a clothesline, that's not something that we normally would have. It's got it's got all the things that you would need to clean.
200 buckets were already dropped off in Jacksonville, Florida, because their home base in Waterford is so far from the people that will need help.
So if we wait till after the storm, by the time we ship everything down there, it's going to be day 3, day 4, day 5. And some of these people are going to need cleaning supplies. They're going to need bathroom supplies because they've been displaced or whatever it is.
But as Hurricane Dorian churns closer and closer, they are running out of items. A mother and daughter dropped off some supplies today, but much more is needed. Specifically, cleaning wipes, clotheslines and pins, dish soap, liquid laundry detergent, insect repellent spray, microfiber cloths, scrub brushes, new bath towels, and 5-gallon buckets with lids.
If we can get supplies by the end of day Tuesday, beginning of the day Wednesday, we can start to assemble the buckets so that way they can be shipped, so that, because this storm will be gone by the weekend. And so if we can ship whatever we ship by the weekend, we know that the second load of supplies can be where it needs to be, maybe alongside a team.
In Waterford, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
Okay, Nick, and Disaster Relief at Work also sends teams of volunteers into disaster areas to help with cleanup, roof patching, and more. For more information on how and where to donate, you can visit our website. Just go to clickondetroit.com. Meanwhile, our affiliates in Florida are working around the clock on their Hurricane Dorian coverage, and you can watch it live right now on our website. Again, clickondetroit.com. Following the nation's latest mass shooting, police say the shooter had multiple encounters with law enforcement in the hours before the shooting. It started Saturday when the 34-year-old shooter was fired from his job. That's when he and his employer both called police after an argument. 15 minutes before the shooting, the shooter called the FBI, where he rambled to authorities but did not make any threats. Police say they got multiple calls of a man with a rifle before the shooting started.
There are reports of people citing him with a handgun, with a rifle. Those reports did come in. Officers did respond to those areas, and he was just gone. We were unable to locate him.
Authorities say the shooter had called police and the FBI before with similar ramblings. 7 people were killed and 23 were injured in Saturday's shootings. Closer to home here in Clinton Township, woman charged last month in her elderly mother's beating will face additional charges now after her mother passes away. Anne Marie Walsh is charged with vulnerable adult abuse. Prosecutors say she brutally attacked her mother and left her laying on the floor for 2 days in the apartment they shared. We're told Walsh's mother died from her injuries, which included a brain bleed and multiple broken bones. Also making headlines this Labor Day as unions took to the streets to celebrate American labor. UAW workers showed up to protest leadership. This comes in the wake of the ongoing corruption investigation and the recent FBI raid of the home of UAW President Gary Jones. Many calling for a change today, while others express concern as the UAW is currently renegotiating contracts with the big three automakers. The current contract expires September 14th. All right, still to come, victims of raging wildfires in South America rescued, how one group is helping them thrive. But first, you use them every day, but how long do your toiletries really last? How your habits may be negatively impacting your health. That's next.